So this evening I thought I would read you an extract from my story, which I don't know how I'll ever publish. I found a title for it. It's going to be called Little Frozen Half Melons, which I thought was rather cute. And this is a story of a day out in Lewes with some friends. We have an arrangement to meet Dave and Caroline in Lewes for lunch. They are coming by train. It's been a very stressful process for Dave to organise it, prodded on by Caroline. None of us dreamt how far Dave could be pushed by the right woman, but here he is, organising outings. He is brother to my first husband, the other hubby, and he is the most Asperger of the entire family. Anything outside his comfort zone is like a major battle campaign. He has texted numerous times to say what his plan is and how far he's got with it. Originally, we had intended to meet on a weekend until Dave discovered that there would be disruption on the railways and his journey would have to involve transferring to a bus from Three Bridges. He couldn't cope with this, so he changed it to a weekday, when there would be more chance of the trains running properly. Sadly, there are still delays due to the signalling problems. We arrive at Lewes half an hour before Dave and Caroline and repair to the Costa coffee bar to await them. I normally have 1 cup of coffee a day with my breakfast. I look forward to it hugely and I savour it. But a second cup is never the same. I consider ordering tea, but when hubby asks for a cappuccino, I get an image of a nice round cup in a saucer with a chocolatey pattern on top of the froth, and I order 2. But they don't come in china cups. They come in cardboard takeaway containers, and they are huge. Also, they don't have such a lot of chocolate on top. I don't even like froth. What was I thinking? Anyway, it's fluid, and on principle, I consume fluid even if I don't like it that much, because the bladder must be kept irrigated. Hubby kindly shares his paper with me, letting me read the bits he's finished with. Some wanker has been verbally abusing a little old coloured lady on a plane, and another passenger has videoed it on his phone and sent the evidence to the internet, where it has gone viral. Nobody had better release that man's name or he'll be lynched by a raging mob of politically correct self-righteous assholes. But maybe the airline will think a bit about how it treats its passengers, and something good will come of it. Of course, there is other news, but none of it's really news. Theresa May is about to announce that 95% of the Brexit negotiations are complete. She is not going to say that the remaining issues, i.e. the Irish border question, are never going to be solved, because they are insoluble by means of peaceful negotiation. I kind of wish they could be solved, because when you get yourself so far along the wrong path, trying to go back won't make it any better. We as a country are currently in a position similar to that of a minibus going too tight round a corner and wedging itself against the wall. Do you stop and try to go back? The wall is already half demolished and we will never be the same again, and neither will the minibus. If you push on, the wall will collapse entirely and the side of the bus will be wrecked, but you will be on your way again. This simile comes from life experience. It was so very sad. We had swapped our Volvo estate for a Ford Transit minibus, which would carry a ton of books and double as a camper van for little holidays. We were so happy with it. Then hubby forgot it wasn't the Volvo and drove it into the nice new dividing wall which he and the neighbour had only just had built. We managed to get the stove-in side door of the minibus replaced, and we learned to negotiate the turning out of our narrow driveway with constant care and awareness. But the wall is still wrecked. And Brexit will be a car crash of epic proportions. How could it not be? Sorry, Theresa. You're doing your best to bluff your way through, but everything is against you on this one. I didn't go to the mass demonstration in Westminster a couple of days ago demanding another referendum, not because I think we're going in the right direction, but because I think that putting spanners in the works is not going to make anything better. Anyway, Dave and Caroline show up and save me from further indignant ruminations. We all set off up the hill to the high street, looking for charity shops and architecture. Poor Dave is outnumbered 3-1. I'm not sure how excited he is by architecture, but I'm pretty sure he would never have gone anywhere near a charity shop before he got together with Caroline. His brother, first hubby, used to humour me when I wanted to go looking round stalls full of knick-knacks, craft items, or plain outright junk, but he would retire to a corner with his newspaper and wait until I came back. Dave has to tag along, muttering feebly about pints of beer. We managed to fit in 4 or 5 charity shops, 2 antique emporiums, an antiquarian bookshop, and a church before lunch. Hubby leads us into Bill's, a popular restaurant in Old Town. The worst bit of Bill's is standing waiting to be seated and surveying the mass of tables full of eating people. There are always 1 or 2 tables that look empty, and you begin to wonder why you are not sitting at one of them. But as soon as you are seated, the serving machine gathers you to its bosom, and you are showered with just the right kind of attention. Menus, drinks, followed in short order by food of the divinest kind. I savour my pork dumplings with chili tamari sauce. The texture and flavour are perfect. I savour the little strands of salad that garnish it. Normally, I would not ask for a starter because I can't eat a huge amount, and it always spoils my appetite for the main course. But everyone is having starters, and if I didn't, I'd have to watch them eat while getting hungrier and hungrier. Also, I have a dog languishing at home. I slip the last 2 dumplings into a small bag on my lap. I always have poo bags in my jeans pocket, which also come in handy as take-home bags when needed. The others have steaks, and I have cod goujons. They taste of the sea. The breadcrumbs are crunchy and delicious. They are perfect. I also find that some of the goujons end up in my doggy bag. Everybody's steaks vanish completely. My remaining French fries sag onto Dave's plate and disappear. Hubby gets carried away with the conversation and gestures his wine glass over onto the table, necessitating the ordering of a second bottle. We continue into a couple more antique establishments and another church. I don't know about the others, but I am carried along in a most pleasant alcoholic haze. But Dave is still bleating about his pint and heads off in the direction of a pub. And that's where we end up, sitting outside with beer in the sunshine with only a slight chill in the air of this October day. Well, I don't have beer, I have water. I never could consume anything to excess, it only spoils it. I think I learned that lesson early in life. We lived on a small holding when I was young, growing our own vegetables organically, way before it became fashionable. My dad used to go out collecting dead bracken from the common where we lived to make his compost. He had a little tractor and trailer, and occasionally I would be allowed to ride with him. The tractor had a petrol engine which always gave off fumes of partially combusted petrol. I found that I got a pleasant sensation when breathing in these fumes. It was tantalizingly momentary. To sustain the sensation, you had to keep breathing in the fumes. One day I was lingering with him in his workshop, and he picked up his can of petrol to do something or other with it. Perhaps he was topping up the motor that pumped rainwater up to the attic. My attention was immediately drawn, and I begged him to let me sniff the can of petrol, which he did. I don't think he had any high-minded intention of demonstrating to me the perils of chemicals. I don't think he was particularly aware what he was up to. He was another Aspie, needing to trundle along his familiar tracks and thrown by anything that deviated from that. A lot of things puzzled him, and when something puzzled him, he would just ignore it. He gave me the open can, and I put my little nose to the opening and took a long, deep breath of neat petrol fumes. He was already busy with something else. I got the expected momentary high, followed immediately by such a sensation of malaise that I never wanted to do that again. I realized that petrol had a dual nature, tickling the senses from a distance, but vengeful and scary if you tried to get too close to it. We get the train home and find the dog eagerly awaiting us. He's all over me. He knows from the way I smell that I've been out finding delicious treats for him, and he is not disappointed. So, thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.